Hi, I'm Debbie from Simply Special Crafts. Today we're going to talk about diamond painting, which is something new for us. It's a little different than our card making, but I know I have card makers out there, so stay to the end and I'm going to show you how you can use this in your card making. If you enjoy our videos and want to see more of them, I'd like to have you hit that subscribe button here on YouTube. It will allow you to be able to follow our videos, and they'll send you a notice when new videos are put up. Hit the little bell icon and that's what generates those notices. And if you like our videos, if you like what we're doing for you, please hit the little thumbs up like button also, because that counts positively for us in YouTube. So let's go ahead and get started. And today you get what you've been asking for. You get to see another member of my family, because our resident diamond painting expert is my daughter Lauren. So let's welcome Lauren in. Hi, Lauren.
Hi.
You can tell that Lauren is thrilled about being on camera for today's adventure, but she, like I said, is the one who has done the most diamond painting, although I'm quickly catching up because it's really fun and somewhat habit for me. I made 3 of them for Christmas presents this year. So let's talk a little bit about diamond painting. What is it basically?
Diamond painting is a project that you basically will put individual little stones on an adhesive canvas, and then when they all come together they make this gorgeous, very sparkly picture for you, and they come in all different shapes and sizes and with all different characters, and you kind of just pick the kind you like and get going.
We're going to talk a little bit more about this later, but just in the interest of showing them what sparkly looks like, why don't you hold Santa up just a little bit and show them what your current project looks like.
This is the one I am making as a Christmas present. We also sell this one, and it catches all the light on the little stones, and this particular set also has iridescent stones that will catch the light in different colors also. So.
Which is unusual. We hadn't seen that until we saw these. Now, what brand is this one?
This is Diamond Dots.
And we sell 2 brands in our store.
We do. We sell Diamond Dots and we sell Paint with Diamonds.
Now, we went through quite a lot to decide, Lauren, which brands we were going to bring into the store. Talk to people a little bit about why we made the choices that we made about the brands that we chose to bring in.
Well, when I first started doing diamond paintings, we got them from some of the discount sites, and we thought, oh, it's such a great deal. It's, only a few bucks and you get a really big one. But the problem with diamond painting, if you don't get it from a very good source, is that they don't cut, because it's such small stones. If they don't pay really close attention to how the stones are cut, then it can throw your whole picture off, and you'll end up with sections where your stones won't fit anymore because they weren't cut right to begin with, and it's really hard to tell because the stones are so small until you get them on there, and then you can't really take them off because you don't know where the problem is, and then you end up with putting all this work in and not being happy with the product. So we really tried to find ones that were really high quality, and I think Diamond Dots is probably the best we've ever found, and I really, really like Paint with Diamonds also. But they really are the only 2 I've ever found that has the level of quality control that I like to see, to make sure that when you're totally done with the picture, it still looks good.
And in addition to the stones, I think we found the quality of the cut of the stones. We found another couple things, I believe, too. The height of the stones.
Yes. If the stones are really flat or they're not faceted right, kind of like a diamond, then they don't really catch the light as much, and they don't look as impressive when they're finished.
And they're also harder to pick up if they're just domed and not faceted, because the little pickup tools that they have,
yeah.
You have to use a whole lot more wax on your pickup tool in order to get those to process if the diamonds are too flat.
Yeah.
The third thing we found with some of the discount sites was the coloring. Sometimes what you saw in the picture on the discount site, what it would show for colors were not consistent with what we actually received. And that's a little disappointing, because you get your picture and you start working on it, and one comes to mind, a sunset scene that looked like it was all done in beautiful pinks and oranges, and when it got here it was kind of yellow and and not even yellow, kind of a
Peach.
drab, yeah, kind of a peach and kind of drab colors by comparison. Now when I finished it, it was still beautiful, but it was the idea that it wasn't really what I expected it to be. When I started working on it, I wasn't certain I was going to finish it. I'm glad I did, because when I got all done, it still looked good, but it almost felt like they finished it with leftover stones instead of the colors that were the more vibrant, beautiful colors we expected. So there's also something in these, talk about shapes of stones.
So there's two different kinds of shapes. There are going to be round drill, which is what this Santa one is, and those ones are a little bit more forgiving because while the stones will touch each other, they don't have to be perfectly in line. The other shape is square drill, and those will fit totally together, and they have to be almost exactly precise into where you put them. And that's the one you especially want a good company with, because that's the one that if you have a stone that gets too far off, then that's where you're going to run into a lot of problems. But the circle drill I recommend for people who are getting started, because like I said, it is more forgiving and it goes a lot faster. So you have a beautiful project, but it doesn't take you quite as long.
So just to restate, the circle drill is literally round, faceted. They're not really rhinestones, but they're rhinestone-like acrylic pieces. And the squares are literally little square gems that you're adhering. And so again, as Lauren's saying, that the square just requires more uniformity in putting those on. Excellent. Now talk to us about full drill versus partial drill.
Yes, so the Santa, as you can see, is a partial drill. It only will have part of the canvas covered in stones, so if you can see this part, there will be stones here with adhesive, and then there will be a part of the canvas that's just printed background. Other canvases, Paint with Diamonds especially, the whole entire canvas from edge to edge will be covered in the diamonds, and those you mostly will see the full drill will be square stones, and the partial will be round drill.
And I know when I first started, I was a little confused by the term painting with diamonds. But where the painting aspect comes from is it's like you're using your little applicator tool to pick up different color stones, and you're adding that bit of color to what literally is a piece of printed canvas. So that's where the concept of painting comes from. You're adding color by virtue of those little stones. You're not actually using a paintbrush for anything, but the painting with diamonds comes from dabbing on those little bits of color. And as Bryce is showing you right now, you can see where, especially if you can zoom in quite a bit, Bryce, you can actually see that this has individual little round stones making up the colors here. Now, once again, one of the indicators of the quality of the kit that you're getting is that partial drill can mean a lot of things. When I saw partial drill in a definition for a diamond painting that I was looking at that was an extremely good price, it was a great price, and I thought, oh, that would be fun. It's a little cat looking into a reflection, and the kitten sees in his reflection, he sees a bold tiger. And I thought, oh, that'd be really, really fun to do that for my sister-in-law. I'm going to go ahead and get that one. Well, this is what a quality partial drill looks like. This is what a cheap drill might look like. This, it came in, and the only piece that actually had diamonds was the kitten. Now you can see that the concept was great, but the actual quality of what I got to do was a little bit lacking. This actually shows two things, though, that I want to talk about very briefly. One was that, yep, we really kind of had some problems with the total amount of work we got to do on this canvas before it was finished. That's literally all that got to be done. And secondly, I want to talk about the way this kitten looks, because this is really important, I think. This is a really small canvas and a very detailed picture.
Yeah.
Talk about pixelation a little bit, Lauren, and help people understand why sometimes it's better to do a bigger project.
So it's kind of like the same idea with if you take a photo, and the more pixels, the little individual dots you have in your photo, the better your photo looks. And so if you're doing something that's very detailed or
Like
a
our
lot of
kitten.
organic shapes like people or animals, you really need the extra detail that comes from having lots of little pixels rather than just having, just a few. And so when you have just a few, they kind of loses the whole element of it being realistic looking. And so if you want a smaller canvas, you really want something that's more like an abstract mandala or something that's very cartoony. But if you want it to look really realistic, you want it to be bigger, because otherwise it's just not going to look like you're hoping for.
And even when you go to the Paint with Diamonds site, which is a company we really like, and we actually have a link to the full selection from Paint with Diamonds on our website, where you can go in and you can go through our website, go to Paint with Diamonds, and see their full selection. But one word of caution, the pictures they show you are going to be one of the best images. And they're going to offer you some of them for $9.99, $12.99, what look like really great prices, but take into consideration that some of those may be done smaller than this kitten. And if you look at the kitten again, you'll see that, yeah, we do have kind of the rough shape of a kitten, but he's kind of a chunky looking kitten, because he doesn't have a lot of pixels. If he had more pixels, he would look more like a cat, because the color can get spread over more diamonds and you can get more variation, more shading, and he would look more like a cat. So beware of tiny canvases at cheap prices, even with Paint with Diamonds. Now, one of the things that we've tried to do for you is we bought a bunch of these and we brought them in because Paint with Diamonds, as all of these companies are, basically all of these companies, come from China. And the shipping time frame is 4 to 6 weeks typically to get something from there. We wanted to be able to have them available, but especially if you bought them from us, that we could ship them in our normal, very rapid shipping time. And so we went through and made some choices, quite a few choices really, and put them on our website. Anything you see on our website is available for immediate sale and immediate shipment. Further, we've taken a look at those canvases and we've tried to say what's the minimum size we could do that's going to look good when it's done. So we've tried to go through and make some of those judgment calls for you. So when you see one on our site that might cost $31 and you think, oh my gosh, I can go to Paint with Diamonds and it says it's $9.99. The price difference is that we're putting it on a larger canvas, so you're going to have a better finished result than ending up with only a few pixels of color and kind of a chunky looking, but less attractive finished product.
Yeah, and it would be very disappointing to spend all this time doing, because even the smaller ones are going to take a while, all the time, and then get done with it and say, I don't know what it is. It just looks like watercolors.
Yeah.
Which can definitely happen. I mean, even on some of the abstract ones, if it's something that's supposed to be especially recognizable, you can run into issues where you look at it and you have to hold it 15 feet away to be able to tell, oh, that sort of looks like this, or what it was supposed to look like. And if you'd gone up 1, 2 sizes, you'd be immediately able to tell.
Right. So you want to have great results. And you said all the time you spend. How much time have you gotten Santa Claus here? Be honest.
I would probably say 40 hours so far.
Okay.
This one has gone a little bit faster than some of my others because it is the circle drill, so you can do it a lot faster and you don't have to be so precise. I have another one going that is the square drill, the very, very precise one, and I probably have 30 some hours in that one, and I'm only about a third of the way done. So
I finished a full drill. I finished a couple full drills, 3 actually full drills, which is the entire canvas covered with stones. as Christmas presents. The largest one is about 12 by 16, completely covered in stones. That's thousands of stones. And I'm going to guesstimate that I have about 36 hours in that one to actually finish the project. By comparison, I have a little 8 by 10 that I did, and I'm going to say that took maybe 22 hours to finish that one. So it's going to take you some time. Now, what ages is this appropriate for? Because some of you may be looking at this and thinking, man, I think that'd be a great project for my granddaughter, my grandson, but how old should a person be? And it's going to depend somewhat on the kid.
Yeah, well, for a mature 8 to 9-year-old, I think it would be fine. You don't want to give it to somebody so little that they're going to go, oh, look, I'm going to eat this. Because the stones are so small, they'd easily be able to down them if they were young enough or not mature enough to know that that's not something they should be doing. So I would say like youngest probably 8 if they're mature. If they're not, maybe more like 10. And
you're probably not going to start a 10-year-old on a Santa, though.
No, I would start a 10-year-old on either a much smaller one like 8 by 8 or even some of our mini kits, which we offer that are just very little. They're 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 inches.
This actually says 4 by 4. But... oh, 3 by 3. I take it back. We're both right. We're both off a little. You bet you knew that going in, didn't you? Okay, let's look at how little they go. Now, this is a great trial project. I recommend this for you. I also recommend this for the kids in your life that you want to try and see if they're ready for a bigger kit. This is what, now I told you I was going to have one on a card. This is what the finished project, get rid of the kitty. This is what the finished project looks like in the 3 by 3. And Lauren and Brittany looked at that and they said, you got to make a card out of that, Mom, because that's what your folks are going to want to see. So of course I made a card out of it, and it's beautiful. I think I'm really, really pleased with the way that it came out. But to make this, I used one of these little mini kits. And this is a good opportunity to just open this up and show you what's in the kit, what you can expect to see when you open up one of these kits. Here we've got our image or packaging. There's going to be a little bit of instruction in here. You're not going to need all this. You're not going to need all this. It's fairly self-explanatory. Here's our piece of canvas for this little one. Now, can I get in here, Bryce, without... Can you actually see the symbols on it? Am I fuzzy now? Okay. Can you see the little symbols on there? On the side of our print, over here, this one only has a couple colors, but on the side of our print over here, it says, if you see a little minus sign, you're going to use packet A. If you see a little plus sign, you're going to use packet B, or packet 2. And then I'm going to, this has a little plastic sheet over it. Really, it does. It's really a well-sealed packet.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
That usually doesn't happen, but if it's going to happen, it's going to happen on camera. You peel back the little sheet. If you're using a big one, Lauren will show you in a minute how she does that on the larger canvases. But you're going to peel this back, and then you're going to use a little tool, and you're going to move each stone over one of these. This is the sticky area here. And we're going to just apply that on our canvas using the little legend. It's like paint by number, guys. And we all remember doing those as kids. Also in the packet, and this is typical of virtually all the kits, you're going to get an applicator tool. We'll show you how to use this. You're going to get a piece of wax. Lauren, once again, will show you how to use this. You get a piece of wax and you get a tray. Now in these, you also get a little grip for your tool. This is not typical. You only get, is this typical of all the paint with diamonds though?
Yes.
Only in the paint with, no, the Diamond Dots kits. Not paint with diamonds. The Diamond Dots kits are going to give you one of these little pads for your applicator tool that just makes it easier to hold on to for longer hours. Paint with Diamonds doesn't do that, and none of the other companies with whom we've worked has done that. And then you get a little tray to put your diamonds in. And again, Lauren will show you about using this little tray and how you can shake this tray to turn your diamonds right side up and make it easy to apply them. But this is basically what you're going to get in your kit. So you really have everything you need to do the diamond painting itself. Oh, I forgot to show you. This one only has, as I said, 2 colors of diamonds. Now, I've done some, I think the largest number of colors I've had so far has been 40. I've had 40 colors in one. And we'll talk about how we actually organize that to keep track of all those colors. But you get your packets of diamonds, and this is what they look like. They're about 1/8 of an inch. These are round cut. Can you see those on camera, honey? Come on. They're little round cut stones. They look like little, maybe 4mm rhinestones. Okay, enough talk. Let's just walk them through. Lauren, the person has just gotten their kit in the mail. What are they going to want to do?
So when you get your kit, likely it'll come in just a long tube or a bubble mailer.
Do you want to show them a kit there behind Dad? There's one sitting right behind Dad.
Yeah, that's good.
I have to edit this a little bit, maybe.
Okay, when you get it in the mail, it'll likely be, depending on the size of the kit, depends on how they ship it to you, but this is one of our bigger kits here, and all of them will either be rolled up, or occasionally you'll get them folded, but they shouldn't be folded. They'll likely be either rolled or flat in a box, just depending on how big they are.
Well, if you get them directly from us, if you buy
Yes,
them from
that's
Paint with
true.
Diamonds or anybody else,
Yes.
you're likely to get a canvas that's been folded, but
Yes.
usually not creased.
No. And the good thing about these canvases is because they're fabric, you can stick them under a bunch of books and they'll just flatten right back out in a couple days. So with this canvas, we'll just unroll it here. Like I said, this is one of our bigger ones. So as you can see, since it's been rolled, it doesn't really want to sit down flat. But that's again where you're going to use the books, just anything heavy, textbooks or
Stacks
box
of
of paper, anything like that. Just leave it under there for like 24 to 48 hours and it'll flatten right back out and you'll have something more like the Santa here. You're also going to get your little packet of tools. Paint with Diamonds a lot of the time will also come with a pair of these silver needlepoint tweezers along with your regular tool and your wax and your little tray. And then you're in your big pack here, because this is a big one, you have quite a bit more diamonds. You're going to have
Compare this to
all
that little 2 packets I just showed you.
of these little tiny packs of diamonds, and so they individually there to keep the quality control, they'll pack multiple packs of the same color. And they're really hard to see, but on each pack will be a 3 to 4 digit number. And the 3 to 4 digit number will match the sheet of paper that's in there, and it will tell you, there's a lot of numbers on here, but it'll tell you what the symbol on your actual canvas will be, and then the number of stones that's actually in your picture, and then this is the number on your bag. So this is really the column you're going to need. This middle one here is the number on your bag, and then how many bags you should be expecting. Sometimes, it very rarely happens, but sometimes you'll get a pack where, because there's so many stones, they just miss one bag. So I highly recommend going through and making sure you got the number of bags you're supposed to get, because if you didn't, you can contact Paint with Diamonds and they will send you out a new bag, as long as you can show that you bought a kit.
Same with Diamond Dots, we can contact, or you can always contact us and we'll help you with that also. It doesn't happen very often. But while we're on that subject of diamonds, let's talk about the guarantees from Paint with Diamonds. We don't have to actually say the name of the
Yes.
guarantee, but
They
it starts with an S and ends with a T and has two X's in the middle. The OSXXT guarantee.
Yes, so they guarantee that basically if anything happens to your canvas, if you have a cat that comes and lays on the sticky part, or if you accidentally knock all your stones off onto the table and they just scatter everywhere, or, you know, if you caught it on fire, or anything like that,
Dump your dinner in the middle of your canvas.
yes, anything happens to the canvas, the stones, anything, they will replace it for free, whatever part you need, up and including the entire kit. So if you have anything happen to it, Paint with Diamonds will replace whatever parts you need to have replaced for free, which is a great deal because most of the other companies
They're
will
the
not do
only
that.
company we're aware of that does that.
Yeah. So back to the stones. So you'll have all of these stones. You can see there's in here, there's a lot of these different stones. And like I said, there's going to be multiple bags of each color. And so because you have so many stones in so many bags, we have these lovely trays here, which
This does not come with your kit. This
No,
is
this
supplemental
is-
if you choose to use it.
if you decide to use it, I know some people say it's not worth it to me or something, but if you have one of these big kits and it does have something like 40 colors, these are ultra helpful. And we have all different kinds. So this
Okay.
is, I think probably our biggest one. And these have these individual little containers that pop open, and you can store your diamonds in these.
And they snap securely shut, so it's not a problem to have stones wandering all over the place because these are really secure. This is kind of our deluxe kit. These cost more, but if you find that you're going to be a hobbyist with this, it's worth the investment. For a single kit, not sure I'd spend as much money, but
Yes.
for somebody who is going to do a number of them, or if you have a son, a daughter, or yourself are really active in this, it's absolutely worth getting a good storage system.
Yes, and the bigger you go, the more colors you'll have. And so if you get one of, because some of the ones they'll do will be up to 3-4 feet long, which will take a very long time. But if you get that kind, you're gonna have a ton of stones, and a bigger box will just be almost essential at that point, because trying to sort through that many colors you'll spend most of your time trying to figure out what color you wanted.
By contrast, Brittany did one of these large canvases like Lauren Santa, and she did that without acquiring a storage box at all,
Yes.
but her snowman didn't have a lot of colors, and she used little plastic bags
Yes.
throughout the entire thing. So for first project, maybe or maybe not, but for, again, as Lauren's saying, the really large projects, you may want to consider it. This
Yes.
other set here is a little bit more economical.
This is the Dries box, and so this box snaps open and closed. This one also has individual little cases on each side. This one comes with 3 different size cases, which I really appreciate. The most of them are going to be this middle size. It's 2x2-ish boxes. And they also snap closed. I have mine in here. When I did them, I just labeled them with the symbols that were on the canvas, so I didn't have to keep double checking between the colors and the symbol on the sheet. I can just look on here and say, oh, I need, number 8, and then I can get that one out. This box also includes these little tiny boxes. Some of the canvases you only have like one bag of like 250 stones, so just these little tiny boxes work really well. And then it also comes with 2 of these bigger size boxes that will snap open, and these are the ones I like to keep all my extra tools in. This particular case will come with this adorable little tiny spoon, which is actually really helpful if you're doing a lot of stones at one time. And then it'll come with a pair of tweezers itself, plus the tweezers you would get in your kit if this kit comes with tweezers. So that one's really good to hold your stones, your tools in. And then the other box I have in here is actually, this one is entirely filled with stones, because the kit I'm working in right now, the whole background is one color. So there was lots of stones for that one. But this case is, I really, really love this case. I have 2 of them.
And this is way less expensive
This is
than the one
about
that we showed you. It's about
half
$17, $18.
the price of this other kit. It really just depends. I know my mom really loves this more expensive one. I really like this one because it has the handle and it's really carryable and you can take it wherever you want to go. The only downside, I think, to this kit is sometimes, because it's a lot cheaper, the containers inside don't snap closed as well as they should. But a lot of the time your diamonds, you won't have enough colors to need every single one of the little inside containers, so the ones that don't close as well you can kind of just get rid of.
And then you also have kind of a cheap solution over
Yes.
there for...
The Santa, my Santa, this one only has 17 colors. And because it has such few colors, I was looking for something that would be cheaper. And so you can find these kinds of cases quite a few places. They're actually 2 different sizes.
And I think we have a few of this one, don't we?
We do. We have quite a few of these left. And these are probably our most secure boxes. There's a button here on the side. You press the button and then you just pull the lid up. And so each case will hold 14 colors. And I just use sticky paper and then just write my numbers and stuff on them so that I know what everything is. But I thoroughly recommend these ones when you only have just a few colors, because if you have anywhere between 10 to 20 colors, they work great. They're really cheap. They're like $8, $9. So if you're not wanting to spend the 17 for the middle-sized one or the 30 to 40 for the big one, this is a great other option. And like I said, it's a lot cheaper, and there's all different kinds of brands and versions of these out there. So you really can mix and match with the kind of one you have.
Okay, let's show them actually placing a few stones now.
Okay, so I'm going to put a few of the stones on here. This is the case we talked about just a couple minutes ago. And again, you just press the button on the side and pop the thing open. I just shake some into this tray here. And the thing that I love about these trays is because the stones are only faceted on one side so they stick well, you have to make sure that they're sitting the right direction to put them on your canvas. So if you just shake some in here and then just shake the tray from side to side, they'll actually flip over and then be sitting the right direction to put on your canvas. This is the little pickup tool that we like to use. And then they give you these little containers of wax. The wax is pretty much always pink, I don't know why. And then you just take your tool and just push it into the wax and then take some off. The wax will last for quite a while, so you don't have to be changing it all the time. Just when it stops picking up the stones well, you're going to want to switch it out.
And you don't have to take it out by then it has actually worn out.
Yes.
And you're just refilling the pen with a little wax.
Although if you do see that it's not sticky anymore and it won't come out of the pen, you can just take a pokey tool or a toothpick and just stick it in there and then just pull it out. I have run into that a couple of times with these iridescent stones because of the finish on them. Sometimes the finish will come off a little bit on the wax and it won't stick anymore. So if you run into that, just a toothpick or a pokey tool or anything sharp will pretty much work. So I'm gonna just, right here, I only have this one section left, so I have actually cut the plastic all the way down and I do the picture in strips because it's kind of daunting to have the whole piece of plastic at one time, although if you know you like that, that works fine too. I know my cousin does it that way.
Well, the other reason you don't really want to have the entire canvas exposed is that you're laying your arms in it and things, and every time you touch it, you're influencing the amount of sticky. So you really don't want your hands and arms in the sticky, let alone your cat.
Yes, definitely. And I know as being a lefty, I'm always shoving my arm through my project. So it's nice to have the part that I'm not working on covered. So you can just pull back the plastic here. And then I just fold it over to keep it from falling back on me. And then each of the little spaces will have a different symbol, and so you just look for the symbol you're using. And then you just pick up the stone with your tool, and there'll just be a little stone on the end.
What symbol is this one that you're using?
This symbol is the plus sign, which is also number 3.
Okay.
And then you just place this down and, oops, there goes the plastic again.
So if you were actually going to sit here, you might cut that plastic off a little bit.
If I knew I was going to be
finish
finishing the section, if I didn't think I was finishing the section or I knew there was a possibility, I would leave the plastic on and then you can just flip it back over when you're done with the section you're working on. But if you know you're going to be done with it and it's annoying you, you can take it off. I know my cousin, she doesn't like the feel of the plastic on her hand, so she'll just put like a washcloth just on the plastic part, not on the sticky part. Don't stick it on the sticky part, that'd be bad.
Which reminds me, I was working on labeling my little containers and I had my label paper there. I dropped my label paper, not thinking. I dropped it on an exposed sticky mat and I spent the entire night picking little pieces of paper off my sticky mat because the back of the label paper, even though the front wouldn't stick, the back of the label paper was completely adhered.
Yes.
If anything touches that sticky, it's down for
It's
good.
it's very sticky. I mean, you can touch it. It'll be okay if you let your hands touch it and stuff. But if you get like hair or glitter, especially, or paper, you can run into problems. But for the most part, like just touching it with your hands, as long as you're not sitting here and doing it all the time, it will be fine. It's not super fragile. You just don't want to stick glitter on it or anything, which you could run into some problems with that.
Or let your cat lay on the table on it.
Yes. So, as you can see, I just put a few of these stones down here. You just have to pay attention to the symbols and just make sure you're
within the little square.
Yeah. So some of them will have actual lines going between the symbols, and some of them will just have the symbols and it's kind of implied that you're just supposed to stick the stone right over the symbol. But with the circle drill, it doesn't matter too much if you get just a little bit off here and there. It won't make that much of a difference because there's enough forgiveness between the stones that it'll turn out just fine. And so when you're totally done with one color, the nice thing about these little containers is that you can just pour them back into your little section, if you can get all the stones to come out, and then close that up, and then you can move on to your next section. And
do you try to do all of one color, then all of the next color within a section, or do you work side by side with the different colors? What have you found to be better?
when I first started out, I definitely did side by side, where I would switch a stone every time I got to a new stone. Now that I do a lot of them, I have learned that doing a whole square or a whole section and doing all of the color you see, sometimes you'll miss a few and you can go back and fill them in, but all the ones you see will go much, much faster. You'll take about 5 times as long to do, switch a color every single time, because you have to take the color in, you have to put it back, take it in, put it back, and it just takes so much longer.
I agree. I do exactly the same thing, even if I'm doing full drill with squares where it requires a little more precision. Again, even though you want those lines to be very well lined up, the squares are forgiving enough that you can kind of pop those in between the other squares. So
Yes.
I will do all of one color within a certain section that I'm working on because it's just so much faster. Okay, again, knowing that we have card makers here, let's go ahead and talk just ever so briefly about the construction of the card I did using these little mini kits. First, let me tell you, these little mini kits sell for $4.99. We'll do a little special on the mini kits. So if you haven't tried this, just for kicks, get one, pick it up, try it just for fun, and see, or if you're concerned about whether or not you'll be able to see the symbols. I know a lot of you have light boxes where we've done dry embossing and that kind of thing in the past. If you have a light box, or if you do quilting or something where you're transferring patterns on a light box, use your light box, set your canvas right down on the light box, and it will shine right through and you'll be able to see those symbols so well. So that's another hint for you. But if you want to just try one to see if you like it, if you want to try one and see if your eyesight's going to accommodate that, I recommend one of these little tiny ones. Or we have some that are like 6 by 6, 8 by 8, even 10 by 10. But don't go too a Santa Claus size right off the bat. Try one of the little ones and see what you think. And again, for those kids or grandkids, those smaller canvases can be a great way of seeing whether or not this is something that they're old enough for, that they're going to like without making an investment in a more expensive kit. So we have these little tiny canvases. This took me about, I'm going to say 15 minutes, maybe, to place the stones on this one. When I finished, knowing that I was going to use this in card making, I still had a little bit of residue around those stones. And I didn't like that. I didn't want that to be on my card. I didn't want to have stickiness around there. So I used my glitter. I sprinkled it all over. I used my glitter brush, brushed it off, and now I have that extra wonderful little sparkle in my snowflake, which I love. I have exactly the same thing going on, by the way, in my penguin. I've got extra little sparkle in my background and around his feet and around the outline of my penguin that's created by that glitter. I used cardstock, and I used my blank card. I used cardstock in a couple of different colors. I used my mirror board. You know me, I do love my mirror board. I used mirror board in a couple different colors, and all I did was I trimmed out around my canvas. I put it on some mirror board. I put it on, in this case, on a different color of mirror board just to matte that. I used a blue background piece of cardstock. I matted that with a little piece of mirror board. I cheated, by the way. I didn't have a lot of that blue left, so I just only put the mirror board under the edges of this cardstock. It worked out just great. I added a little Season's Greetings from my collection, put it on, I put all of that on my cardstock that had been covered with mirror board. I do believe, yeah, I did put some foam squares under this when I put it down. But how simple and pretty was that for a finished card? And putting the card itself together with all the matting and trimming, maybe another 10 to 15 minutes. So in a half an hour, I had this really, really beautiful card. Our little our little penguin here, once again trimmed him out, matted him on some blue mirror board. I took this background piece of Mary, I ran it through my Snow is Falling embossing folder. I actually happen to have used the deboss side only because of the way I put the cardstock into the embossing folder. It doesn't matter which of the two sides I used, they were both beautiful. Added my greeting, a little snowflake. He was done. How cute is that? And again, construction of this card, maybe 15 minutes. He had quite a few more stones. He may have taken 20 minutes to put the stones on, maybe 30. But it was quick, easy, fun. Within roughly an hour, I had both of these pretty cards done. So the little tiny kits are a nice way to just kind of get a feel for whether or not you like doing diamond painting. We're totally hooked in this household. It's great fun. So, I guess that's the other disclaimer we should use, Lauren, is that diamond painting is habit forming.
It is. Yes.
That's great fun. Didn't she do a great job? Thank you, Lauren, for joining me on camera. See, this is why I've been encouraging my family. I knew she'd do a great job. She's fabulous. And Lauren is also one of the people who is responsible for getting our listings up, getting your orders out the door timely. She's pretty terrific. I'm pretty proud of her. So, once again, this is Debbie from Simply Special Crafts, Lauren from Simply Special Crafts, and if you like this video, please give us the thumbs up. If you like us, We'll see you next time. Thanks.